Welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig, and we are out of Gotham Podcast Studio, and it was designed recently just for the show. We are doing a podcast as well, and for our first guest to be honored to share this space with is actor Robert Funaro. He said I can call him Bobby, and he is a great American actor and artist. He's been in the Emmy Award-winning series The Sopranos. He's in The Irishman, which is getting tons of buzz, and also in The Sinner with Jessica Biel. So he is all over the place. So thrilled to have you. We've been trying to do this for several months.
Yes, we just get right to the mountaintop and then we just go a little bit back, but now we finally did it.
We found a day that finally worked, because I think the day that I usually tape doesn't work for you, so that's why we had to create a whole new space for you.
Oh, thank you. I feel honored. Thank you, Dr. Robi.
I had such a good time. I have to be honest. I'm not the type of girl that watches mob movies. I'm like romantic comedy, okay? That's kind of my thing.
Right.
And I was like, well, you're in The Irishman. I have to watch it. Yeah. I loved it.
Did you?
I loved it. And I heard mixed things when people were talking about it because of the time.
Yes. Yes. The people are just a little bit, especially nowadays, thrown off when they say 3.5 hours. But I just remind people that when Led Zeppelin did their 10-minute song, I mean, the same sort of principle.
And people I thought it was really so brilliant too, because people are streaming, as you know. So, especially with other shows, you'll watch one after the other, and before you know it, 3 hours goes by.
Yes.
It was not a slow movie.
No.
I did not I thought it was so compelling because obviously, I'll let you tell the story of what The Irishman is about.
Back to what you're saying about the length of the film, if you went to see it in the theater, in a big, a very big screen, you really don't feel anything like that, because the artistry of Martin Scorsese is it's made, he envisions it on that big screen.
Interesting. And this was made for Netflix,
yes,
right?
It was. And I think that, everything has shifted in the sense that directors, even great directors like Martin Scorsese, have to shift in order to get funding and do the things that they really want to do. Everything is shifted to live streaming. It seems like Hulu and Netflix and a lot of the other programmers are doing it.
It's true. It's true.
In order to produce it, and it was a big budget. I think it was 140 million. Some people say 190, 123.
I know. I was reading it was like $160 million range.
It fluctuates, but it's just a lot of money.
Now I'm kind of a little late to the streaming party, and I'm like so happy that I discovered it. Now I could be like a full-time homebody kind of. If I didn't love to go to parties so much, I think I would. I watched it on my kitchen screen and was compelled because I did not really know the story.
Frank Sheeran, yes.
I did not know about him. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that the Teamster played by Al Pacino, I always thought he was in the mob. That's why I did not know. I had heard of him, but I thought he was a little bit connected to the mob. I thought he was in it. I didn't realize he kind of collaborated with them. So it was very interesting from a historical perspective.
Yeah, so Jimmy Hoffa, in order to get things done in the beginning, which happens a lot, to legitimate businesses that legitimize themselves, and this is which was his downfall after he came out of prison, that he felt that after the 5 years, that he felt that he had paid his time and he kept his mouth shut, and he thought that he could start over again, but in a different way, not being connected, and that wasn't going to happen. But Frank Sheeran's book, I Heard You Paint Houses, written by Charles Brandt, is a brilliant book, and it's a theory. And there have been other, like Fox put out a documentary trying to disclaim, Sheeran's theory, but until they find Jimmy Hoffa, which is where they say he's on Giant Stadium, he's in a barrel, a drum, somewhere in the swamps and the marshlands or the meadowlands, until they find him, I think it's a really credible story. If you look at the early pictures of Frank Sheeran, I mean, he looks like a man who could really throw his weight around. It looks as if, and when he told the story to Brandt, the statute of limitations, he did 18 years in jail. It just makes so much sense. So
And there's
I
no
believe
double
it.
jeopardy, right? So if he were to admit the crime,
right, he wouldn't be
put in jail. Or
no, he wouldn't be. Not at that age, and he did serve time for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like in the film, it doesn't seem. It is all the main players. They serve time for what they did. And what I like about the film is that Scorsese, he never pulls any punches. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil alert anyone, but the way he in the end, you choose. There's a price you pay. Like Bruce Springsteen's song, it's the price you pay. You know what I mean? And that's what was the great thing about the film is how he ends up and the relationship with his daughter. And there's no absolute in life, I think.
So it was what was so interesting, and I'm not revealing any secrets, is that from a psychological standpoint, it was interesting, kind of this idea of loyalty, and they would kind of pop up all these people who were murdered at different points in time. They thought they were in kind of the family and protected, and they'd end up dead in these horrific ways.
It's hard. Like, I've done theater pieces, and the longer the theater piece, the bigger the story you try to tell, whether it be about Puccini or any kind of composer. Or sometimes you have to, unless you have a good story, a basic story. If this one is based on some fact, to keep people moving along, Marty freeze frames the camera and shows you what happened to the person, because it just explains things.
He's brilliant.
It's like little marks on the road of what happened to, like, Angelo Bruno, how he ended up, and Frank Sedone. I mean, so it's a guidepost, so you don't kind of lose yourself in what happened here. Where did that guy come from? I never seen him again. So it kind of instructs you a little bit.
I'm just fascinated in this world where everybody's ADD. To capture somebody's attention for 3.5 hours who's not even drawn to that genre, many things are going right. And Scorsese, the famous director, and now there's getting a lot of buzz, SAG Awards now.
Yes, and the Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes. It's really up for many different awards for the picture and the various actors. But Martin Scorsese asked for you specifically to be. You've worked with him before.
Well, yeah, I worked with him on vinyl. A lot of the actors in the film, Marty likes to keep things in the family.
I like that.
And he knows that. I believe it. My theory is, and I don't sit down and have coffee with him.
Yeah.
But is that...
That'll be next, Bobby. That'll be next.
We'll see. We'll see about that. It's just great to work for him, because he feels that if he's worked with you and you weren't any trouble and you're comfortable with it, he's made you comfortable, he's going to get a great performance from you.
He's right.
And all the small performances, the big performances are really, there's a relaxation, there's an ease.
Yes.
That exudes from the film. And I've seen people that, like, I forgot her name. I'm doing something with her screening at the Lafayette in Suffolk, New York, which was used as the place in Pennsylvania before they're on their way to Detroit, before they, whatever, I don't want to spoil it. So anyway, there's a sense of ease, and he likes to use the same people.
I like it.
And that, I worked on vinyl, and I came in really late for the audition, but I didn't want to push it. And my former agent, he passed away. It was his, Eric Faber, great man, and he got me in, and I got the job. But Ellen Lewis, she likes to keep it in the family also. She'll, if you've worked with her before, and Marty likes to do that. So that's the way he does. And people from Goodfellas are in it. People from Raging Bull, I work with people from Raging Bull. It's just a great, Paulie Herman. I mean, it's just some great, who played Whispers in the film. He was great.
And what I like about Martin Scorsese's approach is that everything is about the relationship. And if you have the right relationship with your actors and just your team, you're going to get the most out of them.
Yes.
And they're going to want to give you their best.
Yes.
So you're already halfway there. And it just makes it a family environment. That's how I like to work.
That's the way Sopranos was.
I want to be around people that I enjoy. Yes. Speaking of The Sopranos, and then we'll get back to, I want to know what it's like to work with some of the greatest actors in the world, which you have, which is a credit to you.
Thank you.
The dark suicide scene in The Sopranos, which many of your fans kind of know you for.
Right.
You know,
yes.
The Sopranos. You were recently at the SopranoCon, which has been in all the press recently.
Yeah, it was a great event. Really great
That
event.
scene, it's on YouTube. It's a little bit too dark for us, but it's on YouTube. How did you do that? It was just so realistic.
The whole show of Members Only, it was about a guy, Eugene, my character, who inherited money and he wanted to get out.
And I just want to say, we have a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, here we do.
Yeah, James and myself,
James Gandolfini, who wanted you for other roles as well, and was a big supporter of you. Just would find you. Yes.
He came and found me. We did a theater piece in Scandinavia for 3 months. To make a long story short, we toured Scandinavia in Streetcar Named Desire. He played Mitch. I played Stanley. 4 or 5 years later, his career started taking a root, and he got Sopranos. A friend of mine approached him at a party, said, I know Bobby Funaro. What's Bobby doing? He works at Caroline's on Broadway down the block. And, oh, really? And this was the second year of Sopranos. And the third season, it was a role he remembered, and he took his driver, Joe Fay, around all the comedy clubs because he couldn't remember the comedy club. And they found Caroline, and I walk into Caroline's, and he's sitting there at the bar, just as normal as ever. You know, hey, Bobby, how you doing? And that's how I got my big break. And had no agent, but
so fabulous.
That's how
and
he was
the
such a giving guy. Yes,
the people that you work with.
He was such a giving man. He just sent the elevator down, as Jack Lemmon would say. You know.
So let's get back to just the process of how you did that suicide scene, which was so powerful and so realistic. Like, I was really worried for you. I was like, how do you even fake that?
Well, you know, it was terrifying just to be up there, just to think about it. And I think I used that. Just to, actors have to prepare.
Sure.
But just being in that situation and being cornered like that, there's a sense of anxiety. It just works. You don't have to do much. You don't have to. Acting is about just, if you need the technique or the saw, it's pulling it and having it available if it's not working. But that wasn't a problem because of just being up there with the noose, and we practiced outside of Bada Bing in a tent, and everyone was saying, what are you doing in there? We couldn't tell them. We were with Pete Pocosi, who was a great stunt coordinator for Sopranos. We were practicing everything, but that really doesn't have to do with your question. The question was, there was, the whole episode of, and up to then I had done different things on the show, but this one was partly about me and Terry Winter, who wrote it, who won an Emmy Award for that particular episode. It was special, and I was terrified to do it. Don't I know what to tell you that they're not scared? Like Sharon says to Joe Pesci, Russell Buffalino, you're scared. There's a certain, and it helps. Yeah. So all of that I kind of was able to harness into the episode and into Eugene. I used it, as a matter of fact.
It was brilliant.
People tell me,
it really was.
They were like, "Oh, I feel so bad for you," in the character. So that's how it happened.
You're like, "Hey, I made a name for myself." What was it like working with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Ray Romano?
Okay.
I mean, these are some of the greats. I mean, the acting was just superb.
Thank you. Well, with Robert De Niro, I have two friends who had worked with him prior. So I said, well, I'm supposed to be his friend, his trucker friend, but it turned out that it was his trucker friend, but he was trying to come up a little bit. I think Johnny is a trucker, but at the same time, he's recruiting guys to help Skinny Razor, Bobby Cannavale. So he was a trucker, so he's trying to, move up the ranks. So I said, there's a friendship there. So how could I break the ice? Well, I know two actors, Ratonya Alder from The Deer Hunter and Richard Bright, who was my mentor, from Al Neri from The Godfather. And I said, well, I'll talk about Ratonya and I'll talk about Richard. And when we got on set, everyone would call you on set, and Bobby comes on set. He's the last guy on set. He's very quiet. He said, how you doing? I know someone, and I broke the ice with them. And I think from then on, by doing that, I formed a relationship with him.
That's nice, because I heard he's tough to form a relationship with.
Yeah, we kind of hit it off because of that.
How about Joe Pesci and Al Pacino?
The extent of Joe Pesci was he passed by me at the christening, and I went, and he went, It's like you don't really want to bother other actors and kind of get into their space. And he's working, and there was like a line of people after the christening to see him, and I said, should I wait? And I said, nah, it's okay, leave him alone.
How about Al Pacino?
I didn't run into Al Pacino. I didn't have any scenes with him, but Ray Romano, that was a fun time sitting with Ray Romano because we did so much on vinyl. I mean, I threw him into a car. I shot Bo Dietl in the head on vinyl with him there, so we had a relationship together. That was fun to sit with Ray Romano because he's just not only is a great comedian, but he's just really a wonderful actor. He really made the transition really well.
Yes, he really did. So you mentioned vinyl, and when I was looking at The Irishman, I noticed that Ricky Yorn was the executive producer, both for vinyl. I think he was the executive producer, definitely for The Irishman.
Right.
So Ricky Yorn, I went to school with his brother, Kevin Yorn, who is like a major Hollywood attorney. Ricky Yorn is one of the top producers in Hollywood, and the little brother is like a famous rock star, and they were described as he's really good.
Yeah, he's
the
good.
Yorn Dynasty.
I have some of his
so
albums.
I was talking to my sisters, and I said, we need to up our game. I thought that was so great that you worked with just some really great people.
Yeah.
Before getting to the 5 questions, you were also in the Center for in USA
Biel.
with Jessica Biel. How was that?
That was, we were supposed to shoot it in North Carolina, and we wound up in South Carolina because of that. There was some sort of a thing with the community, I think the gay community or something they did. They made some sort of statement and everything, and so everything shifted from north to south to production. And I flew into South Carolina. I didn't know what it was going to be about. I knew it was a macabre kind of murder mystery.
Yeah.
But I started reading the script and saying, this is pretty good. I wonder if Jessica Biel is what she's going to do. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of her work, but, I know she's she's connected, but who knows? But when I got to the set, she blew me away how great she was.
That's fantastic.
And I think that people really loved that show. It was like a cult hit, like Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
The way it was shot. Antonio Campos, Dick Mason, that was other lead actor, done Catch 22. It was just a great experience to work on that particular series and see how it was promoted on live stream.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before, bloggers as opposed to Times reporters and how they promoted it. It was just tremendous. And USA did a great job with it. I think that she sold herself a little bit short. Jessica should have made it 3 seasons. I would have been around a little bit longer, too.
Maybe there's a chance, because I know that they do revive certain shows. Let's get to the quick 5 so people can really get insight into who you are, both as Robert and Bobby.
Okay.
What do you like about where you work?
Well, in film, there's a camaraderie. Just being on Ray Donovan, just recently on recurring on Ray Donovan, it was, it's just this camaraderie. Everyone, it's like, the best way to describe it is like being in the circus.
Yeah. I call it a party.
You're comfortable with the circus people, But the other people, not so comfortable. The accountants.
The outsiders.
Yeah.
The people, normal.
The non-left-handed people.
Right. They're not your people.
Who
inspires you, and who do you aspire to be like?
I think men, of peace, Christ, men who spread the word of peace. Martin Luther King.
Healers.
Frederick Douglass.
Leaders.
I think that they sometimes the struggle is the greatest thing, and sometimes the sacrifice is greater than the quantity of how you live, but the quality of how you lived is more important, because we know how we're gonna, any road will take you there. That great song by George Harrison, any road's going to take you to the same place. So, how you live is the most important thing. So.
Yeah, that's admirable. What is the greatest risk that you've ever taken?
Telling James Gandolfini that I had been acting. He asked me if I was acting when he asked me to audition for the show. He said, "You've been acting?" I said, "Yes." And being on The Sopranos on the set, the first day at his mom's, Olivia's funeral. It was terrifying. It was a great risk because I had never worked professionally before. I didn't know what a mark was. I had the first AD. I forgot. He's looking at the mark. I missed the mark. He's looking at me. He's looking at the mark. That's your mark. We don't want to do it again. It was like, so that was a terrifying experience.
Just say yes to move yourself forward, right? I think that's the way to go. If you had 24 hours to do whatever you wanted to do in this city, what would you do? Wow,
that's. If I could achieve it, to create a gigantic Tower of Babel for all the homeless so they can go and sleep and be cozy and warm at night, and then they can leave and be cold. That would be cool. Just to create something like that.
I saw a homeless woman outside of here, and she was wearing makeup. I was like, good for her. Right. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
What's the single best advice you've ever received?
The single best advice I've ever received. The single best advice. I guess it goes back to my dad. It's what you do with what you got that counts.
Yeah.
It's like that prayer, accept the things you cannot change, change the things that you can.
Yes.
And the wisdom to know the difference. That's the way.
What a great way to end this fantastic interview. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Is there any way that we can follow you so that people can stay abreast of what you're doing?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm open to new people who want to follow me and everything like that. And I always post what I'm doing.
I think I'm a follower. And also, we didn't get into it, but we'll have to have him back to talk about cooking and horses. But we'll do that next time. Thank you for joining us on Talking Live. And we will see you again next week.
Thank you.